What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is Season 10, Episode 5, and the episode is titled Nail to the Gnaw. Let's get right into it. Alright, so we start this episode off with Nell going to see her son, Lance. He is at his home. Noted, he has his own home. And basically, it sounds like he's a single father, y'all. He sounds like he's a single dad taking care of a newborn at this point in his life, right? He isn't sleeping well, and at the end of the day, he's a super hard worker. He has employees under him. The man got a lot going on, okay? Now, this is his third child. However, like I said, it sounds like at the moment he is a single father. And here's the thing. I'm just wondering, where the mom at? Where is the mother of this child? I don't know. But Nell suggested, hey, I see you struggling right now. How about I could possibly stay over 2 nights a week so that way you can get a break, right? Now, Lance, I feel like he's a very smart guy because he's like, that's a cool idea, but I think you may want to talk to Dad. I think you may want to have a conversation with Chris about this because he probably not going to want his wife not in his house, okay? Nell's like, no, this should not be an issue because we've been married for, 30 years? So this is not a big deal. Here's my thing. I personally feel like if I know that my child right now has to be a single parent, I don't see a problem with Nell staying over for 2 nights. I really don't. Because had it been a daughter, he would not have a problem with it, y'all. Chris would not trip if it was their daughter who needed help with their child. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we do help moms, new moms, for sure. They need help. And I just feel like if you can't be a village, because y'all swear every child need a village, right? If you can't be a village, please be one. Because we would hate to see a situation where Lance, he did not get a lot of sleep last night. He's dozing off while he's driving. We don't want any type of situation like that, okay? So, if Nell can help out, I don't see a problem with that, me personally. Because, like I said, when his daughter's having a baby, mothers are there, okay? We have seen mothers, if you live in Texas and your mama live in California, she will come down there to Texas to be with you for a couple of months. And it's not a problem, okay? So I personally don't see a problem with Nell going to help her son out right now. Then, y'all, this is where things get a little interesting. Nell brings up the fact that Destiny called her and was like, you could have told me. I'm going to be honest, y'all. The way she said that, I feel like that is exactly how Destiny was on that fucking phone. When Nell picked it up and said, hello, I'm pretty sure Destiny's response was, you could have told me about Lance having a baby. I can see it now. Because that's just the type of energy that Destiny brings. And here's the thing. Yes, Lance has a child. But baby, the way he telling this story is given he was not your nigga. He's not your man. Now, when it comes to Nell, she feels like she didn't need to tell Destiny nothing. And I agree. Yes, Destiny and Lance were dating, and Nell and Destiny were supposedly friends. But baby, all of that sounds like something he needs to tell you. It is not Nell's job to go tell you that man got a baby. That's between y'all two, okay? That's the first thing. Here's the thing. Did y'all catch when Nell brought up the fact that Destiny was talking to her godson, Twan? I'm just like, wait a fucking minute. Destiny, girl, not you talking to people who, grew up together. That's weird. Why would you talk to Lance and talk to his god brother? That's some weird shit. But also, y'all, I gotta be honest. Destiny gives me the type of energy that, you know how they have women or men who work at high schools and they get a kick out of, those young high school, middle schoolers having a crush on them and being into them and trying to flirt with them? She gives me that type of energy. I'm sorry. Because think about how she was with Jalen. Okay? Let's never forget that. When she could have definitely been Jalen's mother. But I digress. Further on, we learned that Lance don't feel like he owes her an explanation. However, he's willing to have a conversation with her. And then he goes on to say how Destiny said that everything was casual with them. And he feels like she was playing in his face. And because of that, he really don't feel like he owes her anything. And he says that they only went on a couple of dates. Y'all, this man said they only went on a couple of dates. And what's crazy is that in the preview for the next episode, Nell was telling Chris that Lance didn't even have sex with Destiny. And I'm not saying that she needed to have sex with him at all. But what I'm trying to figure out was this a relationship for the show? Or what's going on here? Like, I really need to know, at what point did her and Lance stop talking? Because it's giving Destiny has made herself the victim, and he could have very well not been with Destiny when he got this woman pregnant. Like, I don't know. I need to know the timeline. Something is not adding up. And at the end of the day, if y'all never had a conversation about being exclusive, yeah, it is a possibility that he can have a baby because y'all not exclusive. He's dating other women. He can see whoever he wants to see. Destiny, it is what it is. I don't got time for you to go ahead and cry wolf every time you pop up on the scene, though. I don't need you to cry and be like, well, not cry, but I don't need for you to be, oh my God, I haven't talked to Lance. Oh my gosh, he has a baby. What else you got going on? But, we're going to talk about her in a little bit, okay? Moving on. We see Kimmy and Tisha shopping, y'all. Am I tripping? Or was Kimmy trying to give Stormy energy? That hairstyle, those sunglasses, all of that was giving Stormy. Okay? And I don't know why she has so many layers on with that outfit. But nonetheless, Destiny shows up. And I'm just like, where the fuck has Destiny been? Like, out of curiosity. Because not only was Destiny not at that little dinner that the ladies had, she also wasn't at Trisha's birthday party. Like, girl, where you been? So, basically, Destiny said that she missed the dinner because she had to do a TikTok live. Y'all, how many people was really in her TikTok live? Because I'm not trying to be funny, but Destiny be talking like she doing big shit. And it's really not that big. Because I'm not trying to knock her, but her doing a TikTok live could have been scheduled at any time. It was not like how Canvas Beauty goes live or even when Mel goes live. Like, it's not the same. Like, girl, you could have showed up to film. You know you need the money. Make it make sense. Nonetheless, so, according to Destiny, her TikTok live went very well. And at the end of the day, she's all about making money. Okay, girl. So the next thing they talk about is the fact that Tisha did not answer or did not want to answer any questions that Nell had because everything that she already answered was on her live or her podcast or wherever it was. And here's my problem. My fucking problem with this show. Yes, y'all have a lot of shit that happens online. I personally feel like if someone brings it up on camera, you do need to fucking address it. Like, it pisses me off that they'll have so much shit going on online, but when it comes to, the actual storylines of the show, ain't nobody got shit to say. Like, there should have been a conversation had of Marceau and Tisha addressing this whole Marceau side piece that Martell done put on social media or on YouTube, I think it was. That should have been an absolute conversation that we saw on camera. Same thing with Kimmy and Maurice bullshitting around with him in that fucking DUI. Like, I'm sorry, I do understand where Nell is coming from. When it's their shit, they refuse to address it on camera. And another thing, y'all know how Tisha made some allegations about Martell saying that he was gay. Why we ain't talked about that yet? Like, I just feel like the things that are said online, that shit needs to be brought onto this show. It really does. But let me get back into the scene. So Tisha then wants to bring up the fact that, they didn't like the NDA comment that Chris Fletcher made. And here's the thing, Tisha, you were doing a whole lot at that party, baby. I ain't never seen nobody get liquid courage the way you do, okay? And then at one point, Destiny, she ends up mentioning Martell's name, y'all. And Tisha just walks away. So I'm just like, okay, so now we know that whenever Martell is brought up, you don't even want to be around it. Okay, we'll see how long this lasts. I just think it's really crazy, y'all, that Kimmy is trying to tell Destiny that if a person is saying that they don't get along with somebody because they were disrespected by that person, how does that look as the middle person? And I'm just like, I think it's crazy that you're asking Destiny that when all of y'all, every last one of y'all on this cast, was in the middle when it came to Mel and Martell. That lady consistently told y'all that man is disrespecting me. He's, doing all these things to me behind the scenes. He was doing some crazy foul shit to her. And y'all played stupid. Remember, Kimmy, you were saying he's a great guy. Remember that bullshit? What are you asking Destiny this for? And we all know at this point, Destiny loves to be the middleman when it comes to Martell. And, she brings up the fact that, if it wasn't for Martell, she would have never even met these ladies. I'm like, okay, that is a valid point. But at a certain point, girl, you need to cut Martell off. Like, he's very toxic. But nonetheless, Destiny goes on to say how she doesn't talk about Martell to other people and vice versa. But then her next sentence was how Martell is planning on moving forward with Ariane. That shouldn't have even been mentioned. Like, what the fuck? You just said you don't talk about him to other people. Girl, that's exactly what you're doing. That's not none of their business, okay? So then she's like, yeah, because Martell was saying some stuff about Lance. Y'all, what did Martell say about Lance? Because I feel like she's been doing most of the talking about that man. What exactly did Martell say about Lance? Somebody let me know. Here's the thing also. According to Destiny, she has not talked to Lance. However, they ran into each other and he couldn't even speak to her. And I'm just like, well, girl, if you wanted that man to speak so bad, then how come you didn't say something first? Your mouth works. Like, again, here she goes playing victim, okay? Now, one thing about this whole group right here is that Kimmy and Tisha, y'all, they were talking so much over each other. It was pissing me off because I'm like, how are y'all going to get information out of this girl if you keep talking? Like, they literally kept asking Destiny, like, oh, have you talked to Lance? When's the last time you saw him? Oh, was it at this thing? Oh, remember y'all wasn't getting along at the vow renewal? I'm like, can y'all let her answer one question first? Like, stop talking over each other. The fuck is y'all doing? Like, that is not how we make a scene. But nonetheless, of course they bring up the whole googly eye comment, and honestly, y'all, I don't care. All of that shit was last season. What is going on today? Like, I'm not understanding how we are on episode 5 and we're still talking about comments that were made last season. Please make it make sense. Wrap that shit right on up. Moving on, we get to Nell and Trisha meeting up. And they talk about the party and how Tisha had her big D energy. Nell feels like all of this started last year, okay? When Tisha called her feisty at Nell's birthday party. And Nell feels like, Tisha was doing too much when it came to her husband. I cannot knock Nell at any point in this conversation because Tisha was doing way too much and she was dead wrong for the way she was operating. Like, girl, you over here calling that man to be front and center, like, what the fuck was you doing? Okay? So, at this point, Trish is like, well, maybe y'all should have like a heart-to-heart. Huh. We'll see how that goes. Next thing you know, we see Kimmy, she on the phone with Destiny, and Destiny swears she needs an office. Girl, you barely got the storage unit. If you don't get the fuck up out our face talking about you need an office, for what? Madani? Or do you need an office to do this whole real estate thing? Because I'm trying to understand which one is you trying to do. Make it make sense. Nonetheless, she get off the phone with her. Jalen pops up. And Jalen is there to tell his mama that he actually has a job offer that pays him well. And it's going to be in Huntsville. He gave up the job in Colorado. Which was going to be in IT. Which is what he wanted to do. But now he's saying that the job that he took in Huntsville is going to be doing logistics, and that is not the same thing. This whole shit with Jalen just completely confused me at this point, y'all. It really did, because I don't understand why he wants to stay in Huntsville. Is it because you featured on the show more? Was Colorado even ever an offer to you? Is this all a storyline? Y'all, I'm sorry, but this shit ain't making sense to me. It's not. Because then we get this conversation about how, Kimmy's like, yeah, I want to do a project with you, even if it's just you and me. And I'm like, Kimmy, you should have been in a project with just you and Jalen. We damn sure don't need Maurice in it, okay? So then Jalen ends up telling his mom about the conversation that he had with the Scott brothers and how Maurice just didn't get it. We got Kimmy sitting up here making fucking excuses for her husband, saying that Maurice has a hard time accepting the part that he played. Lady, are you okay? I don't understand how you are literally playing in your child face right now. And then she flips it and is like, I mean, maybe a little part of this, like, it kind of paid off. Then we got Jalen jumping on the fucking paid off bandwagon, saying how, yeah, maybe the tough love, it worked because I had to figure stuff out on my own. I'm confused, y'all. I'm so confused. Did y'all just come up with a fucking storyline that was some bullshit? So that way y'all can have something to talk about, and it was easy for y'all to just go ahead and wipe it away now? Because what was all of this for? What did we just have to hear about Maurice treating Jalen bad all these years for now Jalen to say, oh, well, I guess it all worked out. Is everybody okay right now? Now, I don't know if Jalen is the type of person that, like, he would rather see his mother happy than have his own happiness or what. But this just makes absolutely no sense to me. Like, I don't know how everything just got wiped under the rug. Y'all let me know what y'all thought about that situation. Moving on, we see Chris. He goes to see Lance. And Lance brings up Neil possibly staying over a couple of nights. Now, keep in mind, when this baby was first born, Lance actually moved in with his parents. But it seems like that just didn't really work because they probably were not used to having a baby in the house, okay? They have not had a baby in the house probably for years at this point, okay? Lance, he ends up telling his dad about the idea of Neil staying over, and Chris, he don't like it. He doesn't want any parts of it. And like I said, if Lance was his daughter, I think the response would be different. Chris is over here talking about how they got to set these boundaries with these kids. And it's like, I get what you're saying, but this is helping with a baby. Like, boundaries and baby, this is not the same conversation, Chris. When y'all needed to set boundaries for your kids, it was because they kept borrowing money from y'all. Not because they needed help with a baby. Like, Chris, here's the thing. Lance is actually trying to be very responsible, okay? He could have been a deadbeat ass nigga. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just don't really like Chris's approach in this situation. Especially considering it sounds like he's the sole parent. So I'm just like, dude, you can handle not having Nell around for 2 days. I promise you can survive. Chris, he then goes on to say that, we all need help. Everybody need help. And I'm just like, okay, well, if you know that your son need help, what's the problem with Nell helping out? What's the issue here? Then he suggested, y'all, that Lance go talk to Martell because Martell has to be a single father. I completely understand. One thing that we have all seen is that Martell has been a great dad to his kids, supposedly. Because y'all know there was some things in that court case on how he disciplined those kids. But, allegedly. But according to, what we've seen on the show, it has always been that Martell is a great dad, right? However, this is a newborn. Martell has never had to have a newborn by himself. Melody was always the mom to those kids, 100%. Okay? There we go with a partnership. Arion always had their other son for the majority of the time. I don't think that he's ever had to have them consistently by himself as a newborn. I don't think he had to deal with no newborn baby, okay? Slightly different. But I get where you're trying to go with this, Chris, okay? But we're going to go ahead and move on because Nell and Tisha, they actually meet up. And here's the thing. Nell tells Tisha that she was doing too much, okay? Now, Tisha, y'all, this threw me for a loop. She decides to bring up the fact that, this is the first time that Chris has tried to throw Marceau under the bus or whatever. And she brings up Atlanta. And I'm like, not the big back picture. Girl, are we really circling back there? So, I just don't understand how we got here. But Tisha feels like Chris was throwing Marceau under the bus when it came to that. And Nell is trying to tell her, girl, my husband never even said anything about that until your husband is the one who brought it up. Your husband was telling you that he went out with a friend and did this with a friend. And he finally was like, oh yeah, Chris Fletcher. You know what I mean? Like, Letitia, girl, what is you doing? What are you doing right now? Like, it was a lot of talking in circles. And here's the thing. Tisha kept trying to make it seem like Nell was raising her voice and yelling at her when that was not the case at all. Like, Tisha, you cannot be able to go up 3 octaves but expect for her to stay at the same level. Baby, that's just not how that works. This conversation went absolutely nowhere. And that was pretty much the episode. Y'all let me know what y'all thought about it. I feel like it wasn't too much going on. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.